This is To the Rescue Authentic Networking. I'm Jennifer Johnson, Executive Director of TTR Networking and a relationship marketing coach. This show is all about the authentic business networking, relationship building, and the success strategies used by our members to grow their businesses and give back to local nonprofits. Be sure to stay up to date. Subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking the bell to get notifications of new episodes, and please visit our website, www.ttrnetworking.com. Now, on with the show.
Welcome to the Rescue Authentic Networking Videocast. I am Nicole Williams, along with my co-host, Don Evans Casey, and Jennifer Johnson. Hey there, Jennifer, what's going on?
It sounds like you belong in the country somewhere. Just having a good day, aren't you? We are too, actually. And it's so nice because we are fortunate to have today Sammie DeShone with Liberty Mutual. She's an insurance agent with Liberty Mutual. And Sammie, thank you so much for coming. You look like you got all dressed up for our show today. So can you, what'd you say?
I was saying thank you. I had a lot on my agenda, but you ladies look fabulous as well.
We shouldn't tell anybody that we all called or we all texted each other. What are we wearing? We all coordinate a little bit. Actually, it's kind of cool. We should do that with all of our guests, ladies.
We should, absolutely.
You know, and it will give it credit to Sammie for doing that. Sammie, we are just so happy that you're here. Obviously, I said you're an insurance agent. You've got a lot more that you can tell us. So I'm just gonna like leave it up to you. But the question is, first question is, please tell us a little bit about who you are, more than we've already said, what you do, and how's the state of all this COVID-19 stuff? How's that affected your business? If you can just, share, take it away.
Yeah. So, Sammie DeShone, and I am your local insurance agent. So I do assess risk for a living and help people be protected through insurance here in Indiana, but also Michigan, because I grew up right at the cusp of Michigan. And I am qualified to write like home, auto, life insurance, motorcycle, pet insurance, boat, and I could go on and on, right? Just keep it short and simple. But I do work with Liberty Mutual, and I also have access to 17 other carriers. So just depending on what you're looking for. And, like COVID and everybody else, I was affected. Our whole team was really in the beginning. I'm sure you guys know insurance isn't always the first thing people want to talk about. And then when there's such a state of uncertainty, how they're going to put food on the table, take care of their families, insurance is the last thing they want to talk about. So our team really focused on just how we can be customer oriented, really just letting them know that we're here for them and not expecting anything else in return. And then, a couple months down the road, things kind of started saying people are buying houses, people are buying cars. And then now that insurance companies are no longer doing release funds and they're no longer deferring payments, we've noticed people are shopping their insurance a lot more. And so I guess I'm kind of blessed in that way that I have access to multiple carriers. So networking probably took the biggest pivot, though, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. And ladies, just one quick thing. I was making a note. I always think it's interesting, just real quick, what is pet insurance?
Yes, tell us about that, please.
Yes. So it's basically a reimbursement program. So kind of like humans, it doesn't necessarily cover pre-existing conditions, but just for example, one of my best friends has a wiener dog, which they tend to have a lot of allergies. I didn't know that until she kind of informed me. But her allergy medication every month is $80, which is kind of a lot.
Yeah.
So you can pick, how much you want your deductible for, how much you want to be reimbursed for, 70, 80, 90%. And so it just kind of helps with expenses like that. And actually, really cool story. Do I have time to share a brief story?
Sure.
Okay. One of the women on the other team in our office, she has a dog She lives in the country. They were playing fetch. She threw the ball and he tumbled and hit his back end on a tree and actually had to have a surgery that was like $2,000. And all she had to do was pay the deductible and it took care of everything else. So I don't know. It's kind of interesting.
Wow,
You never would
that's
think that
really
you need it.
awesome.
But
Wow.
Well, I know I mean, I've talked to some people in different groups, and I think when there are a few carriers that have pet insurance, right? I mean, it's not, or is it just through Liberty Mutual?
nope, there's a handful of different carriers.
But it's kind of funny when somebody hears pet insurance. I think your ears, literally, it sounds like I'm talking about a dog or a cat. Their ears perk up, but it really does perk up. It gets you all. Thank you. I just wanted to say that while I was thinking about it. I made a note and I'm like, before we go on, I got to make sure Sammie explains what pet insurance is. So we're on to the next question, Nicole. Take it away.
Okay. Well, I'm just so excited that you are here, Sammie. We are in the TTR networking groups together. We're in 2 different groups, but our paths have crossed a couple of times, and I'm just so excited. I wanted to ask you, our show is all about being authentic, being genuine. I just wonder, what does being authentic mean to you and your business?
Absolutely. So really, I just think it means just being yourself, just always expressing your concerns, your opinions, and your expertise without trying to act like something you're not to get an end goal, right? Because some people gel with other people more than others. And I know I mentioned this before, but that's a big reason why I joined TTR, was because the first time I came to the group, everybody was so welcoming. And then the second time I came, I could express myself, I could be myself, and it was welcomed, it was encouraged, and yeah, just being who you are, right?
Yes.
Love it. Thank
That's
you.
Awesome.
I've got a question for you, Sammie, and it's a pleasure to be talking with you today. So you mentioned that during COVID, there wasn't really much going on insurance-wise, and then now that everybody's kind of getting back into the swing of things, you've got people shopping for insurance, which is awesome. Folks are coming to you. But what's your routine, or how do you normally attract new clientele or meet new customers in your industry?
Yeah, that's a great question. So a lot of the times what I'm doing is I'm just trying to network with people. I work a lot of events. I've worked a lot of events at like the Indianapolis Art Center, apartment complexes, things of that nature. But of course, with COVID, I had to take what you would call a pivot, right? So really, I was just trying to utilize my current resources, because the best clients and I don't want to say the best clients, but it's usually just going to be from people who know me, who have either worked with me, or friends and family who know I genuinely care. Their referrals are usually going to be the best lead sources for me, especially during the whole pandemic. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Yeah. Well, you have such a pleasant personality and demeanor. I'm sure that makes it very easy to interact with individuals. So good luck with your networking experiences. I hope that continues to pay off for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, I know that it's so funny where I'm watching, and we were talking about pet insurance, and Sammie's cat has been in the frame of the picture. It's kind of funny because we're like, but it is very true that this is very authentic, isn't it? We're not, we're doing what, and she's saying what authentic is, and the cat's moving around. And the networking.
Love the camera.
Yeah. So we know networking is so important right now. I think that you ladies just kind of said that, but and yes, Sammie is wonderful. I've been trying to rack my brain to think. I know I met you early on, but tell us, how did you find rescue TTR? How did you find To the Rescue Networking? And you've kind of told a little bit, that's why you joined. Maybe just talk a little bit about the group that you're in, because I know that you're in one of our newer groups, but that group's just like bursting at the seams because you guys all do such a great job of inviting more people and obviously taking care of each other. So go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I love my group.
Good.
Really just have great people that are in it. So it's interesting because I kind of backtracking, I went to a different networking group, my B&B, where I met someone who introduced me to Tim Garrity, who is a financial advisor, who introduced me to Jamie, who was a bride to be. And she was the one that told me to come to the TTR group. She's like, it's a really laid back networking group. I think you'll like it. So we went there, ended up seeing Tim in the group.
Wow.
And then the person that was in insurance, who was the insurance person in that group, is now transitioned over to charcuterie boards. And so it's an opening. And again, it's just interesting how that one networking group somehow led to me getting involved with TTR.
Amazing.
And I really did like their mission. I like that, God forbid I have to miss a meeting, I'm not going to be shamed for it. They understand that life happens. And yeah, I like that they had like a volunteer mission behind it as well.
Yes. So part of what we do, and for those that might be listening or watching and seeing this, that we do give back to local nonprofits. And that has been a real attraction, I think, for a lot of people because they, I think a lot of groups try to have that as part of their mission, but I've had people, and I don't know if Sammie and I've talked about it, but a number of our visitors say they really like the fact that people come to visit and they hear about nonprofit work. And it's not like you're required, but you are encouraged. And as well as not only the nonprofit, but you're encouraged that if you become a member, that you're committed to the group, that yes, if life happens, that you can be out of the group, you can miss a meeting, but you're not going to miss, you're not going to be booted out or anything like that. It's funny to hear that, because I remember meeting you very early, and I didn't realize all the intricate connections that there had been before it. But that's typically, if people are truly doing networking, it's work, but it's being intentional and being mindful of what you're doing. And a lot of our members, and Sammie, it's your show. I'll give you just a second here in a minute. Sorry. But a lot of our members will come back and they'll say something about, it was this long, but they were mindful of it. They made the effort. You don't just join a group and think it's going to turn into something. So, you turn into something without you being involved. You have to actually be committed to it. Right. So, Sammie, with that in mind, one last question about the TTR. Do you have any, I can't remember if we talked about this, but not in this show necessarily, but do you have any stories or anything about maybe how something turned into, something out of TTR, or maybe another networking story that just, backs up the whole thing that I just spilled all over everything?
Well, of course, there's always the perk of actually getting business through networking. Sure. But one thing that happened within the last month that sticks out to me is I introduced a friend of mine, Chantel, to Melissa, who's a bookkeeper in our group, because Chantel really needed somebody who's a bookkeeper for their daycare board. And they ended up being introduced, being able to work well together. And Chantel was just extremely appreciative of that. And I don't know, that goes a long way with me, but just because of that, I didn't even ask for it, but she wants to get me in front of her board and the parents of the daycare. So it's just kind of a quick story.
I was good. Yeah. And we'll hand it over here in just a second to Dawn again. But the cool thing about what you just said was, I was going to say, you now have an opportunity, but you didn't do that with the idea that you had to get something. You did it because you're just a good person who wanted to, and we always tell people, just come with a servant heart. If you don't come with that, then you're in trouble because it's not going to work. And that's so nice to know that you got something out of it. Nicole and I were just on a call, and there was a comment made that if you can't collect if you fail to invest. And so I think that would be, that was on that call, right?
It was, yes.
That is so
really
important.
Profound.
I will say Sammie invests all the time. And my last comment on that, yesterday, I'm on most of the email chains with most of the groups. And you shared something that was a post or something, right, that your manager had shared. And you probably were like, why is this relevant? It is relevant because you have shared a lot of really good, just great things. Did you remember what that was? It was do you have it?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, it was just something that he shared with us. And I was like, oh, sometimes you just really need to hear that kind of stuff. And the quote is, if you quit now, you'll end up right back where you first began. And when you first began, you were desperate to be where you are right now.
Yeah.
So keep going.
Yeah. And there was, okay. So that just gives you a sample of the kind of stuff that Sammie invests, the stuff she gives to her group. Because there was something early in the pandemic, it was a list of, what was it? Things can't do, things that you can do, or something was a list of things. You know what I'm talking about? You shared it with
I don't remember right now, honestly.
That was
a long time ago. No,
but when Nicole said earlier in the interview, and she said, or no, John said that you have such a nice personality. It was like, and you don't even know how many, John isn't getting necessarily the thread of stuff that I do. And it's just like, yes, Sammie is the real deal. She's sitting here talking, telling us this, but she is the real deal. Okay, John, take it away.
I'm all right.
You're good.
Oh, very awesome.
You're awesome.
So, Jennifer already alluded to or talked about, but just to get a little bit deeper into one of the big tenets of TTR Networking, To the Rescue Networking, is all about contributing and giving back. And, as business owners, we are all about building our own organizations and being successful and helping our fellow members. And you've described that in experiences that you've had already. In addition to that, and what makes TTR unique is that beyond ourselves and our businesses and our groups, we're also thinking about our communities, our nonprofits, the needs of those around us who may or may not be our clients, connections, customers, etc. So with that in mind, and something that's a regular discussion of our groups is, what's going on in the community? How can we help beyond what we're doing every day in our business? I'd like to know, what is it that you, Sammie, are interested in, nonprofit-wise, community-wise, and can you share with us any things that your networking group has done and what type of impacts that has had on community and nonprofits?
All right.
That was a lot.
No, it's very directional. So back in February is when I first joined TTR, and that was right before, everything kind of changed. But we all decided that we wanted to be contributing to the food pantry here in Westfield. And so we had a lot of plans of how we were gonna, be physically involved. And then that kind of switched a little bit. So we focused a little bit more on the financial side of things, contributed that way. With the holidays coming up, I know we're kind of gearing up a few different plans for that, which of course the regulations have changed now, and we can be in person, we can actually contribute labor. So that's great as a group. And then personally, I volunteered at the art department or Indianapolis Art Center a couple times. And anything with animals, sign me up. And I might have mentioned this before, but me and my fiance, we do kind of have a special place in our heart for Riley's, just because when he was 16, he was diagnosed with stage 4 Hodgkin's disease. Went there, familiar with it. He is healthy and engaged, and but so that's a special place in our hearts too. Something that I've been actively doing the last couple years is I want to donate my hair to Wigs for Kids. It was never one color, so this is all natural finally. After but that's something I'll hopefully get to do next year too.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks for all that you do, Sammie. That is wonderful.
Yay, that is so awesome. And I was looking around for my cat because we have twinsies. I have a cat that looks just like your cat. I don't know where she is. She must be sleeping.
I got them both hanging out here now.
And she looks just like you. Is yours a girl or a boy?
One's a girl, one's a boy.
Oh, okay. Oh, sweet, sweet, sweet. Okay.
2 black cats.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, let's see. I wanted to ask you, our audience is probably wondering right now how we can contact you. How can we find you?
Okay. Well, you can always find me on the TTR website. And you can also find me on LinkedIn, the Liberty Mutual website. Those are probably going to be the easiest ways. And then I was featured on the Bride to Be blog not too long ago, so my contact information is in there as well.
Yeah, and what's really cool about that was that so I'm in one networking group, and I visited with Jennifer another group, and actually it's Westfield, which Jamie, is that the one that Jamie James is in? And I had, although she might be in another one too.
She's in the Fisher's Favorites group.
Oh, the Fisher's Favorites. So, but through networking, I just met her. We're just from talking about what we're doing and everything. Jamie and I connected, and I do part-time blogging for Indie Bride to Be, and it was neat because Sammie shared a story, and it was so cute. What happens? My dog ate my ring. It's not really funny, but you're. But along the lines, like, God forbid your wedding ring gets stolen, it gets eaten, it gets misplaced. You go to your normal insurance that you have, but it only covers very little, it turns out. And Sammie had shared with me that there's a special supplement you can buy. So it was really cool, very inexpensive. And so she did. All I did was pretty much post it. But she's famous. It's at the indiebridetobe.com. So thank you, Sammie. So
I know it's pretty heartless to be sitting here saying it. It is funny that her dog ate her ring, but maybe it's not really that, but kind of heartless of me to be laughing. And, I was actually looking, I had a copy of what you sent. It was kind of when the pandemic started, Sammie, that you, I think it was something about changing the narrative to, instead of things you can't do, what can you do? And I can't remember the name of it, but I will, okay. And I can do some research and try to find it. But I was trying to see if I could find it on my phone. But we just, I was an insurance agent for years. And honestly, when there are good people like you in the industry, they're not all bad people out there. I don't mean to sound like that at all, but it is rare to find somebody young and dedicated to what they're doing. And I think you just have it just seems like you've got the right perspective. Because like I said, I've been the recipient of a number of things that you've shared with your group, and it had nothing to do with insurance. It just had to do with giving them value, and that, people say they do that, but then they don't necessarily do that. They really, I think we all have had times we work with people and it doesn't work out that way. So we would love to have you take a minute or two and share some final thoughts with us from your youthful yet very professional and happy-go-lucky self. Just give us your final thoughts. What would you like to share?
I'm just always just trying to do my best. Kind of like you said, trying to change the perspective. Joy, who's in our group, she even said the other day, try to replace the word but with however, just because it kind of changes your way of thinking. So every day, just like a tiny thing, right? Now that I said that, you'll be very conscious of every time you say but, it's gonna
Yes.
But no, I just really appreciate you guys having me on here, and you buttering me up with all the sweet things you were saying. So thank you. I appreciate it. So
you're welcome.
Let me know if you ever have questions. And yeah, you know, we always try to, for me, I enjoy what I do, like you were saying. So it is kind of tough to not talk about insurance all the time. And so, yeah, I just appreciate you guys. Thank you.
You're welcome. But you know what? I mean, insurance is great, but we haven't talked about, aren't you getting married? Like sometime soon?
Yes, next year.
Congrats.
But,
Thank you.
so the insurance is great, but you are a wedding person in the throes of doing this. And what was the story? You had it scheduled for one time and then it changed because you wanted
Yeah,
to
we did.
not get it over.
Yep, he had this big extravagant proposal plan with all of our friends at a concert. 5 days before the concert, everything was canceled because of COVID. And then it was still really special, just us. But and then we had it scheduled for next year around fall. But then everyone and their cousins and moms are getting married at that time or have to reschedule to that time. So we actually moved it up. So I'm still really excited and have to get to go dress shopping in a couple weeks.
Yay!
Wow.
That's gonna be a beautiful bride. Beautiful bride.
Definitely.
Yeah, we thank you very much. And I just, as the founder and of TTR To the Rescue Networking, just thank you for being part of, you know, just the quality of what you bring, the value you bring as an individual is really nice. And I don't know, we've had a lot of good guests on this show, but I mean, and I would never say anything different to them either, but you are definitely exceptional. So thank you for being part of this. So we'll go. You're welcome. We're welcome. You're welcome. Nicole, take it away. We're getting all mushy.
I know. Well, we want to thank you so much, Sammie, for being our guest today. Such an honor. We would like to thank everybody for watching our show. Until next time, may all your days be filled with authenticity. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Great.
Bye.
Thanks, Sammie.
This